This is a space to slow down and reconnect with your inner rhythm. Begin your journey with my free 5-day intuitive art course, where each layer brings you closer to your true voice. And join me live every Tuesday evening for Create With Me, an evening of gentle creativity and connection, one soulful layer at a time. Hello and welcome back to Michele Holden Art, Beyond Mixed Media. And today's video is part 2 of exploring with charcoal, water-soluble graphite, and maybe some Conte, which is the clay stick, with black and white and one color. So if I was to nickname this video, it would be exploring the 9 grid layers with charcoal and medium. So we have collage as a layer, we have paint as a layer, we have marks as a layer, and this time I'm going to flip it over. This was last week's, and I'm really liking some of the effects. What I'm loving is where I put the notes, is I'm liking the change in direction, so the directionality. I'm loving the, again, echoing the same character of line, again, on top of a layer. And I'm really liking the horizontal composition here. So this is what I'm going to explore further. And that's what you'll do. It's almost like starring, putting a star beside, and then I would say explore further or explore more. And when I flip the book, the grid is not going to be a 9, it's going to be a 4 because they're going to be slightly larger. And I want to explore these before I work on a full page. So let's get started. So there's more room for notes. I could have gone even slightly larger, which I think I will. Create another one like this. This is the sketch pad of the Bristol card. You could make a single one, but it is for my 11 by 14 grid journal. And I got the extra large so I could have larger grids. I can't work on tiny little grids. Working on this size is challenging enough for me, but it's a great initial exploration. And of course, materials are cheap because everything's so small and everything's simple. But then we're going to go a little larger and a little deeper. So you can see everything's pre-measured, cut out with an X-Acto knife, and it fits this particular journal. It can also fit on my slightly smaller ones, and I like my squares to be nice and neat, and this saves a lot of time. One more thing, as I went and put my grid template away, I'm going to add a stencil because I use stencils so much in my work, and I'll show you, and I'm just going to use the smaller ones, which I plan to use instead of the black area, say. And maybe we'll go one more time with the pattern. So I'm going to extend, so we'll just call it add another layer. This is so I can remember what I was exploring. And that's the stencil, part 2. Okay. This is a new stencil, which is like a burlap bag outline. I also have my own real ones, so I can't wait to cut out a section that could fit my smaller stencil with a smaller jelly plate printer, which is a 5x7. I like these, they remind me of stones, and if I just used a section of it, they would look really cool. I don't plan on using these, but notice the size, the scale. If this was a large, so I would then make my own custom stencil and cut these shapes out of big pieces of sort of a heavier weight paper. But for now, I'm going to choose different rows or just quadrants to put on here. This is a new one for me, the circle. It got a little crinkle, but oh, this one was the one that got sort of bent. But that's okay. We won't get bent out of shape. And these might be really interesting. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use the circle, but definitely this. All right. So towards the end, so we'll put them to the side for now. This was part of a multi-layered collage paper that we made together with the Create With Me group on Tuesdays at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, live. So if you've missed them, please come and join. They are lots of fun. They're more interactive than before. And you can sign up in the link below to get the links, the topics, and all of the 3 downloads that come with Create With Me. And if you're new here, welcome. This is part 2 of exploring, I don't know what I'm going to call it, charcoal layers of marks, and charcoal being the focus, and adding just one more color with black and white. This was the charcoal stencil that I made with charcoal on newsprint, put it on my jelly plate, and lifted up this collage. So I have larger pieces. I'm not going to tear them because these are bigger, and I don't want the collage pieces being the same size. So thinking of scale, I want to make them a little bigger. This is that amazing handmade paper for calligraphy or pen writing. This is the same. And I have a bigger piece. I'm also using Caran d'Ache water-soluble crayons. And we'll start with the charcoal, but this time I'll use a real piece of charcoal. So I'm going to stop narrating now so I can speed up a little bit, maybe just in sections, and let's get started. Notice I'm twisting, changing pressure, and I'm really liking this. So I need to get more of these. Look at the twisty lines it can make. Going off the edge. But notice when I do slow down, the character of the lines really improve. Slowing down is key, but slowing down and noticing is even more important. Okay, I think I want these lines in all 4. And like I said, I'm going to explore more the horizontal composition. Even though the lines don't have to be horizontal, the areas are going to end up being that way. and trying to remember what I did, the sequencing of my layers with last week. Changing where I put the yellow oxide just to see which I would like better. Creating a wash. And I'm liking how the charcoal does get washed up a little bit. But like I said in part 1, so if you haven't seen part 1, the card will be here in the upper right. It's grainier. Really like that. Okay. Okay, so that gave me an idea. So responding, couldn't plan this. I just want like a wash of black. Maybe not in all of them. And I want to see that wet on wet, but horizontal. See, so this one dried quickly. So we'll go back in. Let's see what happens. Ah, okay. So it's a little dark. That's okay. We're going to lift it. Huh, I like that. It picked up, of course, it's going to pick up the paper towel pattern. So you can also pre-plan, and you can mix watercolor and acrylic. Say if you wanted to create a puddle kind of effect, then you would come in. So this exploration is really interesting. I really like it. What's happening? Oops, there goes my lights. And I just want a little bit here. Ooh, a little bit more. And this one I don't mind, but I want it to be more horizontal. Okay. Okay, very interesting. So I'll just come in instead of using the hairdryer. It will interfere, but that's okay. We have the general idea. So now I'm going to find out which way this paper fiber, this page wants to tear. So let's try this way. Better. That's the direction. And look at this torn piece. So it needs to be torn one more time. And when you lift, you tear up, you can plan ahead of time to have the torn shown, or if you tear down, it doesn't show. So you can do that in combination. That just takes time to learn your materials. Okay, I did a whole series of collage and horizontal and used my images, and this is what this process is reminding me of. So that's cool. So that's going in there. I like this. There. I don't know, it's a little top heavy. I think we will change that. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now, let's start using some of this. I like that. This is newsprint. And leaving a little space is really cool. Also, adding a little bit within your horizontal area, like so, maybe echoing those lines. And when you do it this way, you can put them all down, use your intuitive placement, and then do your pasting. Something. I don't have a large piece. This is how this came. So these are quite large. And then they're meant for this kind of writing. I'm just going to tear one. Very strong. Tear it again. So that's why I bought it. There we go. We can also get this kind of similar effect with coffee dyeing. So all of these things that I mentioned are going to be, but much deeper, in my new course, where you're going to take all the things that you learn with your own journal and use that exploration for a body of work. And I know that's the first time I've mentioned that kind of a thing. Oh, that's 2. Wow, that was 2 pages. Wow. This paper is going to go so far. There I was tearing 2 pages. I thought it was 1. Wow, that's even better. I'm loving this paper. Now I have a little tool. I don't know if you have one, but this paper requires, I don't want to cut my page, but it saves a lot of trouble, and it's very sharp. This is the rotary cutter. Okay. I like that up there. And let's just glue that down. Okay, so now I'm using just the matte medium this time. I have both. I use both the gloss and the matte medium Liquitex fluid. It is so great for these delicate papers and delicate collage papers that we make. Using a color shaper or the back of a gift card or a old gift card. So this is looking really cool. So even though I am using the collage in a larger piece, you can see that that paper's large enough to use in a final work or series, which I like to work in. And if you join me in my new course coming up, I will guide you step by step all the way. The waitlist is coming out very soon. Not quite yet. I want to be further along in the course before I put that out, but we are getting there. And notice, if you watched last week's part 1, the sequencing of my layers is different this time. I didn't plan it that way. I just wanted to explore these horizontal compositions further, and that's just how it sort of turned out. That's very interesting. Okay, so they're there, but there's really not much to them. They're not intriguing enough for me. So that's where some maybe thicker paint comes in. Another layer. I don't know if it's the ochre. I have a feeling I know what it's going to be, though. Let's try some different charcoal areas. So it seals it. I could just use the medium and not cover them up. So I'll do that down here. And now they're sealed and they won't smudge with the next upcoming layer. I really like that rather than veiling them. So I've discovered something else. And sometimes I need to write that down before I forget. Veiled with matte medium. Okay. All right. Not bad. But now I really think it's time for a stencil layer. Wow. Oops. So let's see which. Okay, very small. Interesting. And I could go with white, black, or neutral. And I like to use these makeup sponges because I can control them very easily. Sometimes I let them build up, and that would be good for the black. And if I'm using 3 different colors, so I'll need 3. And almost like a dry, if you want your stencils to have the nice crisp edge. I'm going to come in here. See, that's not soaking up. It won't be crisp, so I'm going to switch to this one. As you can see, there was too much paint on that other one. Let's see how that turns out. Very interesting. So just go across. I'm liking this subtle one better. Now let's try a larger one, but in a different color, a different tone. Let's go neutral. See, it's very subtle, very translucent. I like that. And this is where you can really experiment. And you don't need to worry about these being a nice piece of artwork at the end, because the whole purpose is to explore with your layers. So I'm going to see what this would look like down here. Even though in the artwork I wouldn't put maybe two very different stencils, because they would be vying for attention. I just want to see what that layer looks like down there. I like that smaller, definitely. Now, let's try a white here. That's very interesting. It's very subtle. I think I'll do the same up here. Very cool. Okay. So stencil layers can be very subtle or very focused. I mean, the most part of your work. I'm going to do one more. Right here. Very cool. Okay. That's just the first use of my new stencils. I love new stencils. And we're almost coming up to the end. But there's one more piece, one more tool. So I've used some of this paper. I've not used all of it. I've used this, which is so nice. More of a square here. I like that. And then you can break up, say if it's a horizontal composition, you can, within your horizontal areas, you can, subdivide and even go further. I don't want to go too far because I like the simpler effect. We've not used any of these marks. I like that. Maybe echo. And see, notice this comes forward and its other mark, call it the sister mark, is way in the background. And I've noticed too, in my environment that I live, there's a lot of rock. And there's a lot of cracks in the rock. And I'm very fascinated with stone and rock, its energy. And I notice a lot of my lines emulate that. So even though subconsciously I was not aware right away, okay, I think I'm going to stop. I want to keep these simple. So that is going deep, exploring deeper with charcoal, black and white, using real charcoal sticks. I never use the Conte, but it's beautiful. Very similar. Black marks, stencils, and a very simple selection of tools, papers, and mediums. And we have gone deeper. I'll show you, compare these pages to last week. So now when you see them, you open your page and you're going through your journal, you say, oh, okay. I like that I explored. I'm really liking. I think I'm onto something here. I would write that down. There's also prompts and reflection sheets where there's a lot of going deeper. And the only way you can grow as an artist is all experience, but also reflecting about what you've done. And I'm still liking these. So that's it for this part 1 and part 2 series. Part 3 will be coming up when we take everything that I've explored here into one page. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to try out my 5-day free course, Inner Layers, or Intuitive Layers, and we will continue with Create With Me on Tuesdays live at 8 p.m. and join my newsletter, Letters from the Studio, to be in the loop as to when the waitlist will open for my new course. And I will see you in the next video. Happy creating!